Hello, in this tutorial, we are going to implement the registration form using NextJS and Firebase. In my previous tutorial, I already showed you people how to implement a login system. So if you have not watched that video, check in the description below to click on it to know how to implement login system with Firebase. So with regards to this tutorial, I started off with this template which I used on the previous tutorial concerning my login system. So it's basically the same template and I'll leave the link below for you to download. So in this code snippet, it consists of uh, label and also an input. And the input has the first input has a type of email and the second input has a type of what password. This one is to help make the text hash, and also this one is to make us get a valid email when we input our info, and we marked it as required, so which means the field cannot be empty unless something is there. So when you basically open here and click on login, you could see that it's telling us that please fill out this field. So let me check my console. In my console, you could see that nothing is basically here and we are not receiving any error. So let's jump right into our coding and start implementing the registration form. So in my previous tutorial, I created a lib folder in my app.js. So in my app.js, you see a lib folder. In the lib folder, I implemented my Firebase JS info here, and this Firebase information consists of how to uh, start up Firebase and also how to get started with the get auth. So in this code snippets, in my previous tutorial, in the login previous tutorial, I already showed you how to go by this step, so you can check it in the description below. So and afterwards, I exported it here. So I exported it here so that I could import it back and use it here. So that's why you could see that I imported it out from this lib folder. Okay, so now the next thing that we need to import is our create user with email and password. We need to import it from firebase/auth. So basically, when you implement this create with email and password, but before that, okay, after implementing it, now let me just type in any name. So Abdul Kofi at gmail.com, and let me give it a password of 12345 6. Now like now let me check my inspect. Now nothing happened. Now when I click on login, you could see that this information is being displayed. It's because in my code snippet I said the moment I type it in and it is valid, it should display my email and my password this way. So after importing this create user with email and password, now we need to call that function in the submit button. Since I created a form that says that the moment the person click on submit, it should call the handle submit. So all I need to do is call the function create user with email and password. Now when you open the bracket, the first thing that we need to pass is the auth. The second argument is the email, and the third argument is the what is the password. Now let me end it with a semicolon. This creates email with this create user with email is an async function, so I need to implement an await here so that it will wait and receive the info. Now you could see that it's giving me a warning, so all I need to do is click and make this function an async. You will see that this function is an async. Now let me store the result in a variable. So let me the result in a variable. So let me give it a variable name of user info. Okay, user info is equal to. So what I'm basically doing, I'm creating a variable which says that the moment this is achieved, the information that it receives should be stored in the user info. Now let me copy the user info now, clear this, and now type console.log the user info. So basically what I'm trying to do here is The moment the user click on the submit button, it calls this function, and this function will create a username using the will create a username and password using the information that we pass in our field, and after that console log it here. Now let me go to my user Firebase authentication. You could see that nothing is here. So now let me refresh it. You could see that there is no user added here yet. Let me wait for it to finish loading. Okay. Okay. Now there is no user. So the moment I go to this code snippet that I implemented, what I'm doing here is telling it that it should create a username and email based on the input field, and after that console log it. So now let me go to my form data. Now let me refresh my page. Now let me type the name I want, the email and the password that I want to be used to add into my Firebase authentication. So let me give it the name of Abdul Latif at gmail.com. Then let me give it a password 12345 6. So the moment I click on this login, no, this shouldn't be a name given it to her as login. Let me change the button names to be okay. Let me change it to be register. Okay. So the moment I click on register, you see what happened. Now let me refresh my listen and now type it again. Abdul Latif at gmail.com, and let me give it a password 12345 6. Now the moment I click on register, it will trigger this function, the function which is the handle submit, and it will create a user using the email and password that are passed in the field, and it will now console log it. So now let me click on register and see what happened. You see that a couple of minutes, you could see that this information was displayed for us. And this information was displayed to us because we said after the information is being created, it should console log it out. So now let's check our database to see whether our input is in. So you could see that nothing happened. So now let's refresh it and see whether our Gmail will come through. Let's wait for a minute. You could see that the Gmail that I imported, which is Abdullatif at Gmail, is being passed through here, and you could see that this UUID is here. So to actually confirm that is actually what we created, I'll come here. So after console log, I want the user, and in the user field, you could see that you have a UUID. So now let me save it. Now let me open my browser and let me check the username. You could see that this username is start with AM what, and when you compare it with the information that I get from my user and my UUID, this UUID, you could see that is the same. So for this tutorial, let me now refresh the page and create another user. So let me give it a name of Latif Abdul at gmail.com and give it a password of 1234567 Now let me click on register and wait. You could see that the UUID, after creating, since I said when it's created, it should console log the UUID. So this UUID will correspond to my username being created here. So now let me refresh it. A new user is being added here. So let me refresh it. You could see that the new email I created was latifabdul@gmail.com, and the UUID is AZ. Yeah, this is the UUID. So when you compare the UUID to this UUID, they are the same. So this is how to implement the registration using the NextJS and the Firebase. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss future videos. Thank you.